No cold open, except to say that, yep, that's right. We lied. We love lying. We're liars. Seven Samurai, Gone with the Wind, not happening because I forgot that the whatever movie adventure of the century, whatever is happening. They made a new Indiana Jones movie, so.
Hey.
Yeah.
We forgot the movie adventure of the century is happening.
Yeah, we jointly together.
Well, damn, where do we put the...
Right there.
Okay.
Eating Soup Alone is a podcast hosted by me, Christopher Crumley, and co-hosted by Nicholas Johnson. We try our best to ramble incoherently about a handful of movies at least once a week. So yeah, do you have a preference? I mean, this is a podcast where we watch two movies. It's just because fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's say you saw one of them and you really wanted to hear someone talk about one of them, or maybe one of them just came out and you haven't got the chance to watch it. Fuck you. Literally. So
yeah, if you hadn't gotten a chance to take a day off work and get the family and go see the new Indiana Jones, fuck you.
But even on
the day before it came out, fuck you.
Yeah, so that's leading the train. The caboose of the thing is like, hey, you seen Face Off but not Candyman? Fuck you. 40 minutes in, find it. We're not even gonna give you timestamps. Good luck.
Oh, maybe we should start doing that.
Too late.
Yeah, you're right. Fuck you.
I'm not changing.
We haven't done it, and we're not gonna start.
Yeah, I'm dug in.
Yeah. This is the least user-friendly podcast on the market.
So anyways,
take it or leave it.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull as well.
Sure. Okay. Well, you want to do that one first? Let's do that one first.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't we?
Okay. Memories of this one? You had like a background, a relationship?
When it was coming out, they had a promotion at Burger King where you peel the thing off the cup.
Yeah.
And I did that, and it was like, you won free chicken nuggets. And I went, sick. And I went up there, I wanted a thing for free chicken nuggets. And they're like,
damn.
Yeah, you can't use it until the next time you come in, though. And I was like, yeah, what? Like, yeah, you can't use it now. You have to wait till you come in the next time. And being, 11 years old, not being sarcastic at all, just a legitimate inquiry, I was like, can I walk out and then walk back in?
Yeah.
And the woman was like, just give it to me. And she took it and gave me free chicken nuggets. So.
Wow, nuts.
And then I saw the movie, and I don't really have that many memories of it. Yeah. I know aliens were in it.
Yeah. I remember it came out, and I remember they had the Lego game.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. That was good. I'm glad I grew up in the era of Lego Batman, Lego Star Wars, Lego Indiana Jones. Obviously, Lego Star Wars is the creme de la creme.
Yeah.
But
if you collect enough Lego bits in that one, you unlock Indiana Jones, which that game wasn't even out yet, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I just remember everybody being like, "Wow, that was dog shit" when Indiana Jones 4 came out.
And I don't know about you. I had no affinity for Indiana Jones as a kid, so I didn't really care.
Yeah. Well, let me put it to you this way. Sometimes, I'd be sitting around the crib and I'd be thinking, like, man, maybe we took Temple of Doom to task.
Oh, we did, for sure.
We definitely took it to task. But I mean, that opening sequence, the whole thing is so just. It really is. I like the whole him and the whatever and getting poisoned and then jumping out of the plane. Because you know what I was thinking about when I was watching Indiana Jones, and I think I said it to you. I'm like, this is just like, we talked about it. I'm like, this is basically James Bond. He just happens to be the biggest nerd.
Yeah, they're
just Bond movies. They're fun.
Yeah, especially the Temple of Doom. He's got that white jacket on at the beginning.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
like
I said, it gets spotty after that. Like I don't hang around in the jungle or whatever. Like I guess it's just like it's not bad. It's just kind of like a little lackluster compared to like Jesus fucking Christ. It's the Ark of the Covenant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they're just like lost in a cave with people who do voodoo
in a temple.
It's kind of fun. Yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's just whatever. We're not talking about that movie. We're not talking about that movie.
But remember when he gets on the plane, he goes, "Bye-bye, assholes," and then closes the door and says, so "Asshole good. Airlines."
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Belongs in a museum. So, Kicking into the Crystal Skull, every time I think of that movie, I'm always like, dude, 50s, Roswell, Indiana Jones. Like, where could this go wrong?
Exactly. That sounds so kick-ass.
And I got to say, up front, I don't mind this movie. I think this is fine.
Yeah,
I don't think it's not Raiders, but neither is Temple of Doom, in my opinian.
Yeah, and I haven't seen The Last Crusade in a decade, so I couldn't tell you. But
yeah, I haven't seen The Last Crusade. That's the least watched one by me. I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen it. But yeah, up front, I like this movie.
I don't hate this movie. I can't work up enough of a shit to give to be mad at it.
Yeah.
But I don't see myself ever wanting to watch it again, you know?
Okay, fair.
And not like I'd be like, nah, I'm not watching that, but like I'm never gonna go out of my way to put this one on. You know.
Sure.
But I feel that way about the ones that aren't Raiders as well.
Yeah.
But I'd like to give Last Crusade another shot. Yeah, I'd say the biggest downside of this movie that brings it down the most is the 2007-2008 attempts at CGI.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like that's
Yeah.
rough.
It's just a tragedy of the time.
And it's
Just,
something.
awful.
It's a problem I have with. Yeah, it's a problem, I guess.
That's a problem with that era.
And Dial of Destiny as well, compared to specifically Raiders.
Okay.
There's a magic to Raiders of the Lost Ark when he's fighting that guy around the plane. And like that's such like a small, contained little action piece, but so much happens there. Or like when he's like, there's a part where Indiana Jones is fighting on a Jeep. Like he gets knocked off and like crawls on the underside of the Jeep while it's driving, and then gets back over the overside. When you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, part of you goes, fuck, a real man is climbing underneath a real Jeep. And when there's a CGI car chase, it doesn't have that umph to it. Like it doesn't take me out of it until it's an Indiana Jones movie where I'm like, but I know what this could be, you know.
Can we just say it?
We're not allowed to use CGI anymore.
It's just not art. No, I'm kidding. You're wasting your life if you're doing it. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, it's just one of those things where it's like super impressive, sure. But I've never been that like, I guess like awestruck by it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one of the things where it's like you show me Avatar and I'm like, wow, yeah, great that you guys did that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's almost like I don't know. I just feel like great sport. Now go over there. I don't know why, but it's just like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
it's just like
it doesn't really ever. I've never been like, wow, that was the tits.
It's just like it is definitely getting better and better, but it's never gotten to a point where I've been like, oh, was that real or was that CGI? I think I can like, and it's not that CGI ever takes me out of it, but it doesn't get me as excited as a practical effect does.
Yeah, I think the other problem is that I can immediately peg it.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Especially
like
with
immediately
Crystal
know.
Skull, yeah.
And like it's just like the nature of the beast now. You know that's like just for example, like okay, let's get into Dial of Destiny. There's a beautiful sequence, in my opinion, where they're doing the chase while all that confetti's falling.
Yeah.
But I know not all that confetti's real. I know for sure there's some of it that's real, and then the rest is CGI'd in.
Yeah, it was.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just stuff like that where it's like I know how movies are made, and I maybe that's like something's wrong with me, but I'm just saying that like it's just ever present in my mind. Anytime I see something that looks a little visually stimulating, I'm like, I know it's not real though.
Yeah,
which is like because like the movie's not real, so I don't know. I'm an idiot. Whatever.
It's whenever they show you a full city block in the 50s or the 60s, you know that's not real. Mm-hmm. Like they're standing.
You know
in
the
front
bodega's real, and that one car's real, and
and then there's a blue screen behind them. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Talking out my ass, I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, they like work their asses off to make real looking 60s LA streets, which is pretty cool. But also, they didn't have Indiana Jones building blowing up in that movie, so they could use the budget on that. But also, there's just something about both of the like with the confetti and Dial of Destiny, or just like the scenes outside in Crystal Skull. There's just something about it where I'm like, it just looks. I can't tell you what it is about it, but something about it looks wrong.
Yeah, and why is it so much more distracting than like when the Wizard of Oz like hand paints their backdrop for me?
I don't know. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't know.
Because it's like a weird thing where it's like I'll sing the praises of like that was made by a human, but then so is the CGI.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
CGI.
Like, I don't know why my brain can't get over CGI. It just can't. Like, it is impressive. It does look good, but it's just like I always know. I'm always hyper aware of it.
There's like, I wouldn't say I'm hyper aware of it.
Yeah.
I will get hyper aware.
Oh,
of,
come on! You tell me when you were looking at young Harrison Ford.
Oh, we'll
I think it looks great.
We'll get to.
I think it's impressive. I really think it looks great.
Yes,
but
we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah, we will. But it is just one of those things where like every time I'm looking at it, I just keep thinking like they made that, 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 they made that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like I get really impressed by like I like watching like behind the scenes like how they do it, like CGI videos and like stuff like that online, and I'm really impressed by a lot of it because like you said, a human had to do that, and just like the things you have to think about when you're making a CGI man or a CGI building fall down. It's like, oh man, I never in a million years would have thought about the muscle between your nose and your mouth having to work correctly for a face to work. It's like, oh yeah, just stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And like, even though for the most part, they're a bunch of nerds.
Oh, for
dudes,
sure.
dudes who do CGI are artists in their own right, and it's fucking really impressive what
Yeah.
they can pull off.
Yeah.
But also, I think it needs to be used correctly.
Sure.
And I think a lot of times it doesn't. I think it's a great way to enhance practical effects.
Sure.
But like, I don't know. Anytime I see a car chase in a movie
Yeah.
now, I just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a 90% chance when I'm seeing those people in that car,
Yeah.
it's them sitting in half of a real car, just being shaken by two guys
Yeah.
while they're sitting in front of a green
Yeah.
screen.
Me personally, I will also go ahead and say that I think these two movies, a lot of it is fine. I think that they still pull off some tension.
Yeah,
Not necessarily like Raiders level. Yeah, this is not like a scathing review of like, wow, the Indiana Jones team are just not doing it properly. Don't want to say that.
Yeah.
I'm just making more general statements about like just things that are on my mind. So back to the picture.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull,
Yes.
found myself really enjoying it in the adventurer movie sense.
Yeah.
Where it has just the classic beats where
Yeah.
they're going and they're going and oh, we found this room and oh, there's this map, and they go
Yeah.
to where the map was telling them, and then oh, the adventurer
Yeah.
finds the thing and he paces back and
Yeah.
forth across the room holding it, telling the other people what this means. And just like, yeah, I've played so many Uncharted games and Tomb Raider games and seen Indiana Jones movies that I'm just a sucker for this stuff. Mm-hmm. And Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it was working on me. I was like,
Yeah.
I want to know what this skull's all about.
Yeah, and there's it is fun, like even just that time of like early 20th century archaeology just seems so roguish and daring. I know it's
Yeah.
not. It's kind of like sleazy to some degree, but it just has that like just that everything from the 20th century just has this gleam on it where people romanticize it. Gangsters from the 30s, whatever. Everybody has their time. But yeah, like, the pyramids, they just found King Tut's tomb or whatever the fuck, there were all these hidden this, that, and the other. People were grinding up little bits of mummy and drinking it because they thought it was like those rhino pills at the gas station. That was like in the 20s. That was like their thing, is that for virality, or like they would do whatever. So yeah, it was just water with literally remains of
With
ancient
dude in it,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. So anyways, starts off Indiana
Area 51.
Jones already kidnapped
I think so, yeah.
by KGB.
A woman who, what is that actress's name?
Do not know. Don't recognize her.
Is it Kate Blanchett?
Great. Yes. Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
She's got that short little haircut, and she's got that Russian accent.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's not like in parts of the movie she has it, in parts of the movie she doesn't. It's mid-sentence,
Yeah.
it becomes English.
Yeah.
And I love it. I
Yeah.
just love it. It's
Yeah.
great.
Like her. They want Indy to find some treasure in
No longer about the Nazis, it's about the Soviets. They're the new
Hangar
Nazis.
51. Yeah, like I said, I think these movies both do a good job of like, let's just bump it up a decade. You're gonna get the same movie, just bumped up a decade.
Yeah. It's the 50s. Guess what? Instead of Christianity and Nazis, it's Russians and aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah. And nuclear bombs.
So I guess the treasure is an alien body from Roswell in Hangar 51. They don't call it Area 51, they call it Hangar 51. Anyways, Indy is getting double crossed by Mac.
Ascot Man.
Yep, he's getting double crossed.
They
Indy makes an escape. All well and good. Really not trying to take the piss out of this, but oldest man, and they just cannot murder one old man.
Yeah.
And it's like,
You know what's insane about it, though?
yeah,
Especially when we started it,
yeah,
compared to all the Harrison Ford I've been seeing lately.
yeah.
I remember seeing Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and being like, yeah, this man's old. This is an old man, and
Yeah.
you're not fooling me that this old man is doing all this stuff.
Sure.
Compared to all the Harrison Ford I've seen lately, booting this movie up, I'm like, that's the youngest man I've ever seen. Like, he doesn't look that bad in this
Okay.
movie.
Well, he gets up them boxes a little slow, but whatever. He's
true.
swinging around. He falls. He misjudges a thing. There's a little clip about like, damn, I misjudged it or whatever. Beats up some people. Ends up in fucking Nuketown.
Yeah, it falls down onto a rocket, burns a lot of people alive, and
Yeah.
then he shoots across it and runs into a little nuclear...
He went into Nuketown, baby.
Call of Duty Nuketown, yeah.
Call of Duty Nuketown. And this moment, I like, again, this is like one of those set pieces, like, this is a spot. Like, if you were laying out a wrestling match, like, this is a spot. This is one of those things where it's like, yeah, we got to get Indy to the Nuketown. Just staple of, like, 50s, 60s to me. Like, it reminds me of the first episode of The Twilight Zone, Where Is Everybody? He spends the whole time wandering around a town and every time he finds people, they're just mannequins. And that's what happens in Indiana Jones. He comes in the back door and he's like, "You guys gotta help me!" What the hell? Like,
Yeah,
just mannequins watching TV.
And I like this scene. I like the whole thing in theory.
Yeah,
but I think the last minute daring escape from a nuclear bomb should be a little bit farther away. It should be more so like he's trying to drive out of the blast radius at the last second instead of he's stuck in that house and has to get into a fridge, because it's a little much.
I like the fridge personally.
Okay.
Not upset with the fridge. I do think him getting blasted 3 miles
Yeah.
in the fridge is ridiculous. But I do like it's lead lined, he's smart, he'd know that, whatever, yada, yada, yada. That all works for me. I just think he gets blasted a little too far.
And he's just standing way too close to it while he's watching it, you know? Like when he gets out of the fridge.
When he gets out of the fridge.
That guy's dead for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so...
But it is a great shot. It is like what you were saying. It's like, hey, this is Indiana Jones of the 50s. To see Indiana Jones standing in front of a nuclear blast.
Yeah.
Pretty sick.
Yeah, good.
Don't hate it.
From here, he just goes home?
No, the government picks him up. And the janitor from Scrubs goes, hey, man, what the fuck?
Yeah.
They scrub him down. And
he gets McCarthyismed.
Yeah.
And this is another spot. Again, so that a lot of things come to mind here. Like, just this movie in general reminds me of, like, Destroy All Humans. Reminds me of Fallout. They're in, like, this, like, Fallout-y, metal-y room with men in black suits who are obviously, like, little Red Scare, McCarthyism, agents trying to figure out where his allegiances lie, and is he a commie, yada, yada, yada. Apparently he won a bunch of medals in the war.
Yeah, that guy comes in and goes, man, this guy kicked a lot of ass in World War II, and all I could think was like, oh, man, it'd be so sick to see what Indiana Jones was getting up to in World War II, you know?
Oh.
Because that's after the last movie.
Yeah. Maybe we might get lucky enough to see some of that.
That's what I thought the beginning of the new one was, but he was just kind of on his own doing his own shit.
Fair enough. Anyways, what does he do now? He leaves that and what?
I think he goes to teach.
Yeah, he's a teacher.
They recreate the shot from the first movie where the guy walks down the hallway and then is the window. Yeah. I watched a video not too long ago. I can't remember the guy's name on YouTube. He does a lot of video. He's one of those guys that does a lot of movie video essays, and every video goes, this episode is brought to you by Mubi, because they're all brought to you by Mubi. About Steven Soderbergh. Apparently he's a little freak and edits movies on his website and throws them up. Like, he's got a cut of Psycho, that's the Gus Van Sant and the Alfred Hitchcock one spliced together. Yeah,
like, who's got that one movie length cut of the Star Wars?
That's Topher Grace from that 70s show, which is awesome. And he's got a cut of
nerdy.
Raiders of the Lost Ark that's in black and white and has no sound. It's replaced with, like, the Social Network soundtrack for some reason. But the point of it is just to, like, hey, look how insane Steven Spielberg's blocking is and movement and all that shit. And you don't really notice it until all the color and sound is gone. And, like, but when you do, you're like, oh, I know exactly what's happening in the scene by just the way people are standing and walking around this room. And it's really impressive. And, like, I watched some of it, and one of the first shots I noticed was, like, that Dean walking down the hallway, and then he stops, and the camera comes with him, and just perfectly in the square of the window on the door, you see Indy teaching the class. And they do it again on this one. I'm like, okay. And then the next shot is exactly the same as the next shot in Raiders. And I was like, okay, that's enough of this. You don't have to do this. Kingdom Skull. I'm not here for that.
Yeah. And you know what? The Dean comes in and he says, hey, Indiana Jones, you don't got to do this ever, because you got fired.
And he's like, what the fuck are you fucking talking about?
And then he's going to go somewhere else to maybe try to get a job, and then Mutt shows up.
Well, no, the Dean goes, hey, listen, man, you don't know what I had to... He's like, we're gonna let you go indefinitely, but you're still getting paid, don't worry about it. Yeah. He goes, fuck off. And he's just like, you don't know what I had to go through to get you this. He goes, what do you had to go through? He goes, yeah, dude, I quit. And it's like, oh, that's very cute. And so then it's him and him. Fuck, where are they? What happened? I'm getting confused with Raiders. They have a conversation right afterwards at his house about something.
Okay.
Is it the aliens?
No, they're just, like, drinking wine, and he's packing up. He's saying, I'm gonna go teach somewhere else.
Is that what happens?
Yeah, he says, I got a buddy who, like, owes me a favor. I'm gonna go teach down in Yaka Yaka or whatever the fuck, or Acapulco or something. I don't remember what city it is. But anyways, yes, all that happens. Very sentimental, very sweet. But then even more sentimental and sweet is him unknowingly bonding with his son for the next 45 minutes until Marianne spills the beans. Gotta say, this is a highlight of the movie. I think there's some decent chemistry between these two actors, and yeah, even before they drop the other shoe drops that he's Indy's kid, you kind of get this like father-sonny little like, wow, look at this, you know. So,
yeah, I like it, but I also kind of got like the vibe of, which I love from Indy, which I get in the next one too, is like even whenever there's a chance for him to be the father figure,
yeah,
he still feels like just one of the guys. He feels like a young dude,
yeah,
and it might just be Harrison Ford because I like Harrison Ford so much. But yeah, like when the two of them
Yeah.
are talking, it's just like, no, I'm just a dude. We're both dudes, but I'm a dude who just knows a bit more than you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the talk of like, oh, so you're gonna fix motorcycles your whole life? Yeah, what's wrong with that? Nothing. If that's what you love to do, then go ahead and do it. I'm like, oh, I like that. I like that quite a bit. Yeah. And then I love the bit later where he's just like, they're dying in the quicksand. He's like, and you're being too hard on the kid. Don't make him go. Don't force him to go back to school. And she's like, oh, he's your son. He goes, why'd you let him drop out of school? That's a good beat. Good. I like it.
He's got this whole situation, Mr. Mutt does, where his father figure / friend of mother Ox has been like kidnapped. He's obsessed with the crystal skulls. Now his mom's been kidnapped. She gave him like some writings that Ox wrote to bring to Indiana Jones because Mutt says she says he's the only guy that'd be able to help. Then Indy's like, check it out, a couple of KGB guys, whatever.
Turns out they let her go so that she would write you the letter so that they could follow you to find me. That's what happens. Indiana Jones goes, hey, punch this preppy. And they go, oh, get that greaser. And there's a fight between the greasers and the socials.
Malt shop.
It's great.
Yeah, classic malt shop brawl. Just right from the rip, someone grabs a glass pitcher and smashes it on another man's head.
So fucked up.
Yeah, super fucked. Just super fucked.
And I can't help but think, like, so many times in every Indiana Jones movie, I go, that's so fucked. Like, anytime there's, like, a cool action movie, anytime I see Indiana Jones whipping at people, I'm like, that's so fucked up, dude. You don't do that to another person. Like, the fact that I don't think any of us talk enough about the fact that Indiana Jones has a whip on him at all times.
It just looks good.
To hit people with. Like, whenever he, like, hits it against something and, like, swings off of it, we all know that doesn't work. We're like, it's just a cool visual. He used what he has on him to do that.
Sure.
But, so when you think about it, he's got that whip to whip people with.
Yeah.
That's so fucked up. Hey,
for sure.
I don't know what things were like in the 30s, but I guarantee you, we had been done with whips for about 100 years, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest, I can't really think of like, what is a whip's application besides, like, I think, like, animal training, right? And then, like, the other thing that we're not going to talk about. Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things kind of like...
Use slaves?
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
We can't let it be lost to history.
Fair enough. And then there's also
if we don't talk about it, everyone's going to forget about it.
The rules of war. We are on the brink of forgetting.
Forgetting what?
Exactly. No, but there's like apparently these are really rules of war, I guess.
The Geneva Convention?
Yeah, sure. And I guess like a bow and arrow is considered like it's not humane.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah, 'cause it's very silent, so it actually does have like great tactical and strategic value. But it is one of the most like excruciating things that can happen
even imagine,
to you. Yeah.
It's like getting shot and stabbed at the same time.
Yeah. So anyways, that's neither here nor there. They give the slip. There's all these crazy things where they're like, motorcycling through, libraries, all that kind of shit. Eventually, I'm assuming from here, they hop on a plane, they go down to Peru.
It's a little ham-fisted, but I do like it when he's in the library and they like do the slide underneath it. He's getting up and the guy's like, "Oh, Dr. Jones, I had a question." Blah blah blah. And he's like, "Oh, you want to read this and you want to read this and you want to read and hey, if you want to be a good archaeologist, remember you have to get out of the library sometimes." It gets on the back of the motorcycle. And
Great, good stuff. They go to Peru. Homeboy had to bring the motorcycle.
Yeah, my theory is he's homeless, so he had nowhere to keep it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Pretty sick. I don't think you ever see him use it again, but. Pretty sick.
No, because I think he makes like one little mention about like, and I left my motorcycle here or something, like whatever. But anyways, they go there. They check out.
I think they use it to get from place to place, but I could definitely see Harrison Ford going, I don't want to shoot any more scenes where I'm hugging this dude's waist on the back of the motorcycle. We're okay.
Yeah. They go check out where Ox was held captive whatever, like imprisoned for some reason or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and he scratched all that shit on the walls and stuff, which is interesting because I'm talking mildly out of my ass, but there is like a tower in like London or something that like in like the 1400s or something like that. There's this like specific prisoner, Hugh Draper, and I swear to God, this is his real name. You can look it up right now. Look up Hugh Draper.
I was gonna say, was his name Hugh Draper, or
Yeah.
you're saying he's a huge raper?
No, Hugh Draper.
Okay.
You can look up his name right now.
I believe you.
But it's like 14th century, and yeah, he's famous specifically, I think, for probably something way more important. But like the reason why I know him is just because like he did that. He like covered his walls and his floor in his like little cell and all this like arcane language that may or may not be real or anyone could decipher, kind of a thing. He just covered in like all these runes and weird shit. And,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it happens in 2 Uncharted games, but I don't care. Every time I see it, I love it.
yeah. So anyways, then they figure out like they do all that, you know, brainy nerdy shit where they're
There's
like,
so many
"Ooh."
riddles that I don't remember, but I know that every riddle they think about for 20 seconds and they go, but walk also in that language meant dig, so it means dig, not walk. And it's like, okay.
It's like,
and I think they do it in Dial of Destiny as well. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure.
Cradle, but cradle could also be bed. Bed is in rest. Rest is in death. You know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I don't know. Maybe people got brains like that. I don't got brains like that. It just reminds me of like trying to decipher poetry in class. Like they've got an entire course, courses around like The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot or whatever. Or is that an Ezra Pound one? It's either Ezra Pound or T.S. Eliot. Anyways, the whole thing being that like, or like there's another another book. Called Ulysses, right? Mm-hmm. And Ulysses is a book that, like The Wasteland, only makes sense if you've read the Bible, you've read the Odyssey, and you've read all of like Dante's Inferno on top of like 8 other books, like, you know, Milton's Paradise Lost, or whatever, because like literally every syllable in one sentence could be discussed at like for an entire semester by a class because of the 11 different allusions that each word makes to all these works and stuff like that. They're like just thick, dense, whatever. All I'm trying to say is I think it's cap.
I agree.
I think Indiana Jones is capping. But anyways.
Yeah, to jump ahead real quick, in the next one.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, well, I got a copy of my dad's notebooks. Oh, where? And she goes, in my mind. He goes, oh, you memorized them? Bullshit. I was memorizing a notebook.
Yeah, like it's like when people say like, oh, the photographic memory. Like this Steven Johnson guy can remember every meal he ever had. He can remember, you know, what he had for lunch on like September 7th, 1996. Yeah, give me a date and ask me what I had for lunch.
November 23rd, 1999.
1999. I had peanut butter and jelly, Lay's chips, and a Pepsi.
And hey, you know what? I don't give a shit enough to
exactly. That's what I think. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's like, what do you mean he's got a photographic memory and he can remember every time he had lunch?
Like
who's fact checking that?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
How could you?
Could you? It's like someone was telling me once about like a coworker they had.
I'm like, bro, you're getting grifted.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, if you told this dude like any date, he could tell you like what day of the week it fell on. Like he just knew that off the top of his head. I didn't say it because they seemed very impressed, but I was like, who gives a shit? Like, what a fucking awful thing to waste your brain power on. Why would you ever want to know that?
Oh, and it's one of those things where it's like, is he running a calculation in his head, or is it just he memorized that, or
either way,
who
gives a shit?
Like, how does that work?
Anyway, they go to the graveyard.
Yes,
they get spooked by spooky people who live there.
Yeah, that's something that happens multiple times, is that just like seemingly either supernatural or indigenous people come out of just walls or like piles of dirt.
Yeah, and the movie, it kind of feels like the movie implies that they're one and the same, which I don't love.
Yeah. So who knows what the fuck that is, but whatever. They go down there, they find the skull because they found like Cortez and his like 6 men or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, they're all wrapped up and they open him up and he's like, oh, look like he died yesterday. And then the air touches him and he crumbles apart. But when that other guy is open and they go in there and he goes, oh, the skull's in here, which means Oz brought it back to where he found it.
Yeah.
Chris, that's the most excited I get in any movie ever. It's like stuff like that. It's like, oh, fuck. Why would he bring it back? Yeah. I'm so into this. This is awesome.
It's good. So now they got the skull, but then the KGB show up.
Yes.
And they get kidnapped. And here's what I love. I love that they're after that little Roswell baby, because the skull is their actual inside skull. It's not a relic or anything like that. It's literally their skeleton. That's so fun and imaginative for the fucking aliens to have different than bone.
It's the kingdom of the crystal skeleton when you think about it. And I think they say the Roswell aliens, they're like, these aren't the skulls we're looking for.
Exactly.
These are just like distant cousins.
That's what they were looking at, because they thought they thought perhaps.
Yeah. Oh, I also remember, speaking of this movie, more so than watching this movie for the first time, I remember a documentary I watched on History Channel about the real crystal skulls.
Yeah.
All I remember is something Indiana Jones says in this movie is that there's no like craftsmanship, like you can't tell that any tool touched it anywhere, like it's too clean and perfect.
Yeah.
And they think that like whatever that crystal it's made out of is the same like kind of thing that's in like microchips. So this thing could be full of information if we tapped into it somehow.
Yeah.
And if I'm remembering correctly, I think it came out not too long ago. It's like, oh yeah, just some dudes recently made these and just threw them all over the place.
Yeah. There's a lot around. It's a very fun thing for people to hoax. I'm also familiar. I've talked about it a lot on the podcast, but it's been a long time. Was a huge Ancient Aliens guy. No longer am. It is, I have like 2, maybe 3 enemies in this world. Off the top of my head, I'm saying Pepsi Corporation, History Channel, I don't know, maybe Fox News, but that's easy pickings. Anyways, there you go. History Channel, straight up, top down, all 100% cap. As far as I'm concerned, they're wearing 2 hats. All I'm trying to say is that it's all garbage. It's all gobbledygook. I've looked into the crystal skull stuff. Yeah, you can go down rabbit holes with that, but they all lead to this shit ain't real.
Yeah, fuck them.
But it's one of those things where that's one of the fun things about Indiana Jones to begin with, is just that like even like the Ark of the Covenant, from the get, they're just like this is a series of movies where the Ark of the Covenant is actually like straight up just a supernatural object, right?
Yeah.
When like we know in real life that it probably would have just been motherfucking like plywood box or whatever, maybe gilded with some gold or whatever. But like people are always like, "Where's its final resting place?" And it's like, well, that shit doesn't exist anywhere. It's done. It's lost history. And even if we found it, I mean, like that would be an amazing archaeological find, but nobody's gonna melt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do love that at least the first and third, I can't think about the second, but the first and third Indiana Jones go, hey, God is real.
Yeah. And we're just not going to talk about it.
But the Christian God is real.
Yeah.
And also, Steven Spielberg made these movies, which I also love. That's so funny to me.
Yeah. And I just, like I said, again, I have to love that they just never touch on.
Yeah.
Or maybe in the Last Crusade they do. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time.
I love that Indiana Jones just doesn't really talk about it. Like
every time
every time someone brings him something like, a crystal skull or something, he's like, that's a bunch of
gobbledygook.
It's just like, bro, you saw a 700-year-old man not too recently.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah. I mean, you watch people melt looking at the Ark of the Covenant. I might be going to Sunday Mass or Saturday Mass. I don't know when Catholics do it. I think it's Saturday. I don't know. Whatever. But moving on. They like the KGB are like, hey, Ox is crazy because he stared at the skull too much. We think if you stared at the skull some, you could interact with him because he knows where like El Dorado is. We got to bring the skull back there, and that's how we're gonna get our power. Yada yada yada.
And Indiana Jones is like, why don't you stare at the skull? And they're like,
it doesn't speak to everybody.
It doesn't speak to everybody. And they go, okay, we'll never talk about that again.
Yeah. Whatever. So that all happens.
And I do love this when they have Indiana Jones strapped in the chair. They just keep doing the shot over and over again where they walk behind that like half curtain thing.
Yeah.
That's just basically like a super thin cloth. And there's just a light behind Indiana Jones. So his shadow is against that. But you're looking at him and the shadows on the thing in front of you. So you can just get this big outline of him around him.
Yeah.
You remember what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Chef's kiss. Love it. Great job, Steven.
Yeah. Then eventually, kind of speeding along here. Mutt, creates a distraction. They try to run away.
Oh, yeah, they talk to Ox, and he's just like bananas.
Yeah.
Wonderful to get John Hurt for a movie and have him say basically nothing. It's great.
Yeah.
And
I do like these moments where he's like, "I'm Henry Jones Jr." Like, you remember me? It's very nice. Henry Ford. Just the couple of times in this movie and the next one that he flexes his like actual acting chops instead of just being a cool guy. I feel it every time.
Oh yeah,
I feel it every time.
And I love, speaking of acting chops, John Hurt. I do love it's just like, oh, he put the skull back. It gets me very excited when Indy's looking in the skull and he starts like whatever, his brain start melting or whatever is happening when he's looking at the skull strapped in the chair, and then it cuts to Ox and he just goes, Henry Jones Jr. It's like, oh, they're communicating. Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
Great.
This is a fun thing. This is a very interesting thing that I feel like is a trope I see often. And I'd like to see it explored maybe in like the video essay format. But like the like quest for knowledge, pushing you past a threshold to where you literally lose your mind and you become like this almost like husk of yourself, and then like that like little bit of empathetic like sympathy hit that we get whenever they go like Dale Cooper or something, right? Like, because it happens to Dougie Jones, right? He crosses that threshold of like forbidden knowledge by going to the Black Lodge or whatever.
Yeah.
He gets split in two or whatever, so like it's a little more complicated than that, but it's basically the same thing, right? Like, he's gone somewhere he shouldn't have, and he's come back and now he's different, right? Same thing with like Septimus and the Elder Scrolls. This is a character who has like the lexicon or whatever, which is like something. It involves like this like Ogma Infinium, which is like this like Daedric book of knowledge or whatever, right? And he's like lost his mind, and the same thing with this character. And I'm sure you can find like hundreds of examples of just this thing where like someone's like come into contact with this artifact that's like a kind of like a barrier or something like that, like to like some sort of like knowledge that human beings are not supposed to have. Whatever.
I love it. Yeah.
And then they become these like Dougie Jones, like these kind of like like you said, Henry Jones Jr. And every time they say something where it like says like, oh, he's in there somewhere, like we get this like little like thing where we're like, oh,
yeah,
Ox is in there somewhere. It's very
Mr.
interesting.
Jackpot. Yeah.
What is that? That's very interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, don't know either.
Anyway, moving on.
They get stuck in not quicksand, something else.
Yeah.
He says it's something else, which is another funny moment. I actually think this is a very funny moment because Marianne's there, they're fighting and stuff. That's all great. Yeah, and he starts giving like a lecture to like Mutt about what it actually is, or whatever. And she's like, "All right, Professor, we're not in class right now, or whatever." They're sinking. Mutt goes off and gets something to pull them out. Marianne grabs onto it, yanks out, throws it to Indy. It's a snake. Obviously, he doesn't do snakes, and I might have skipped over the part where they actually like she thinks they're dying, so she's like, "Mutt's your kid." You mentioned the joke that happens there, but with the snake scenario, I love that like it's the snake or whatever, and he's like, actually, I think I can touch the bottom of the feet. She's like, there's no bottom. He's like, really? Because I feel like I almost feel it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Call it a rope. Very funny.
Yeah.
They get out of there, and then they're driving. No, they tell Ox to get help, and he goes and gets the Russians.
Yes.
And then they're trapped.
Then there's just this crazy chase. Right?
They're in the back of the bus. The back of the convoy, something Indiana Jones loves doing, just loves kicking people.
Yeah.
Just loves being on the ground and kicking
people,
somebody. He kicks the shit out of people constantly, and I love it. They kick the shit out of those dudes, and all the while him and Marion are arguing with each other. And she's like, I had a great life when you left. And he goes, oh, I did too. There were plenty of others after you. And she's like, oh, really? What was the problem? Oh, really? Then why didn't you settle down with one of them? And he's like climbing out of the truck. He's like, because I all had the same problem. None of them were you. And then he goes, I'm like, oh, God. Riz.
Bum, 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 bum.
God, the guy's got charisma. Love it.
Yeah. So then there's this whole set piece with like them fighting and like swords and like the trucks.
And this
whatever.
sucks because there's a lot of CGI. Like some of it's cool, and then it gets. I think right when Shia LaBeouf takes main stage, that's when I'm like, I don't like this because he's like on the two things on the two vehicles at the same time, one leg on each, and it starts like splitting apart, and it's just like
hitting them in the dick over and over again.
Yeah, and it's like, where are they going? What part of the jungle has a road in it like this for this long? And then it's just like it just feels like a bunch of CG nonsense. You were gone for a minute. At one point he starts swinging on vines with a bunch of monkeys, and it's the worst looking thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, they do a lot of hedgehog stuff in the beginning or whatever those fucking things are.
They sure do.
There's so many of them. Is that like a joke about like the prairie that I don't get or something?
I don't know. It's like, you already think what I think it is, because this is George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, the guys that made the original Indiana Jones and fucking Star Wars, two of like the coolest looking things ever. Is I think what happens is those two guys at the top of their craft in the 80s are going, let's push technology and what we have as far as we can. And they do, and they make Star Wars, and they make Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it's great. And then it becomes 2007, they're like, let's push this as far as we can, and we get just a lot of CGI that doesn't really hold up, because, George Lucas is like, I own Skywalker Ranch, I own ILM, let's get a lot of CG in there, because this is cutting edge, like Star Wars was in the 80s, and it just doesn't hold up the same way Star Wars does.
Okay. Well, either way, they drive off a cliff. They land on a little tree branch. It sets them down gently in the river. They fall down 3. They fall down 3 waterfalls. Yeah, this little stretch here just feels like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Journey to the Center of Earth type. Like I said, overall, like the movie, but this stretch of like the jungle into the waterfall just feels a little too like, not to be a dick, but like just like, hey, family, let's go watch the new Indiana Jones and eat some popcorn. You know what I'm saying? It just becomes like,
it feels like Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, it just becomes silly as shit. It feels like a Disney ride. Like, it feels like what you'd be watching while you're like on a boat at Disney that's like shaking and splashing. It's just a little silly.
Yeah, and I think this with the nuke stuff, with the bad CGI, I think those 3 things combined, I definitely see why people who are very nostalgic for the original Indiana Jones trilogies hate this movie.
Yeah.
But I think I can watch this movie and forget about those things.
Sure.
And be like, there's some stuff in here I really like.
Yeah. Then at the tail end here, they make it to that town. They all break the little stones, and the sand falls out, and they fall down there. And they're down there, and Ox comes back.
Oh, El Dorado.
Nice.
They get to El Dorado.
Yeah. And the KGB lady's like to the alien, tell me everything. I want to know everything. And he burns all the knowledge of everything into her brain.
And Indiana Jones is like, let's get the fuck out of
here.
here.
And then they go up to the top of a mountain, and they watch a big alien ship take off, because there's like a room with like 13 skeletons of quartz, alien quartz.
And it turns out they're a hive mind, and they all plop together. And then the Russian lady's like, oh, God, I know too much. And she explodes. Yeah. And then the aliens leave. But they're not aliens. They're interdimensional beings.
Yeah. Which is interesting. That's something that comes up time and time again. And, like kind of the speculations about aliens is that, perhaps, they're us from a different time, or they're beings from another dimension that we can't usually perceive, or, all kinds of stuff like that. So
I also do really like that the alien at the end looks like just a gray alien, just big-eyed alien. Fun. It's so fun. I love that there's no try to make it like updated sci-fi. I'm like, I like classic. That this is just a classic 1950s alien. Great.
Yeah. Some things don't need to be touched,
Yeah.
Some things don't need to be touched. And then back to America. Whatever happens.
They get married.
Oh, yeah, they get married. Right. Yep.
His hat blows down into the wind and at Shia LaBeouf's feet, and he picks it up to put it on, and Indiana Jones grabs it. He goes, and they're leaving. And he's like, there'll never be another Indiana Jones, bitch. Into the ground it goes with me.
Yeah, if you could do me a favor for our post for this thing, because you just find, like, a version of the Wendy's Where's the Beef campaign, but it has French subtitles, because I think, like, Le Boeuf is, like, French for the beef. So, like, if you could find it, it'd be, like, LA BEOUF or whatever. But anyways, like, and then up top, the top text 1 would say, like, me watching Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I wrote down Wendy's Where's the Beef French Shia LaBeouf. Let's see if I remember what that means.
Great. So yeah, there's a wrap, and I gotta give it like, I don't know, B- maybe.
I want to give it a C+.
Yeah. So if you want to write that down too, maybe you'll remember what it means.
Skull. Chris B+, you said?
Yeah. No, B-. God damn, you said C+. Don't give it the same thing as I gave Blue Velvet.
Hey, I'm giving it a higher score than I give Vertigo, so. So we watched that and then
Dial of Destiny.
shot up from the couch, got into a car, and then went to the movie theater.
Yeah.
We saw Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
Opted out of the cups with the fedoras on them.
Yeah.
Next time for
$16.
sure, though. Yeah, $16.
If I could wear the fedora, maybe, but...
You can. You can put it on your head.
All right. Off rip, wasn't excited for this movie until we watched Crystal Skull. I was like, I'm probably gonna have a good ass time tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, definitely.
like, if you would have asked me like last week, are you gonna see that Indiana Jones movie? I'd probably be like, no. But then we watched Crystal Skull, and I was like, nah, I'm probably gonna have a good time.
We were halfway through Crystal Skull, and you went, "Are there showtimes tonight for the new one?" I went, "I don't know, Chris," and I was very excited. We went. MGR, love it. It's more fun there, I hear.
Gotta say, had a great time.
Had a great time. They didn't
But
have Coke, unfortunately.
They didn't have my Diet Coke, so instead I had a Diet Pepsi, which I did just say was one of my enemies. My enemies in life. If you remember, my top 3 enemies are Pepsi Corporation, History Channel, and maybe Fox News. Anyways, but I will say Pepsi Diet Lemon, good. But if it was Coke Diet Lemon, probably better. I also got a popcorn, stale. Very stale. You can confirm this. Yeah, stale.
Trailer for... Fuck, what was that movie?
Oppenheimer?
Trailer for Oppenheimer beat ass. Hadn't seen one yet. That was
Neither
great.
have I.
Stoked about it.
And I'm going to say it. Sloppenheimer. She gave me that Sloppenheimer. I looked it up on Twitter. People have been making like Sloppenheimer jokes or whatever. But I swear to God, very organically, when I texted you that, I had literally just been sitting there and I thought, she gave me that Sloppenheimer.
So funny. I was trying to like for a day to punch that up or like get a lead up for that punchline. Couldn't think of one that fits as funny as Sloppenheimer.
Yeah, she gave me that Sloppenheimer.
The movie with the AI
Barbies. Oh, AI
kid.
Yeah.
With the whatever
The creator.
Something like that.
It's the creator. Yeah.
Okay.
I bet you literally $10,000 right now. It's the creator.
Why?
I don't know why, but my memories on him. I'm because like I'll even tell you this. I lost it, bro. I had the fucking name of El Dorado, Akatir, right?
Yeah.
That's what they're calling it.
That's so fucking funny. Oh no, my memory's been off the chain lately. Like
But I can tell you this right now. Archimedes, the fucking Antikythera. They went to Peru in that movie, but in this movie, what's that?
Isn't it like the Antikytherian or something like
that?
No,
Antikythera.
Anyway, the trailer for The Creator played.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about it, and I was like, oh man, that movie looks fine.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. You know what? I'm sick of every movie having to be good. I was like, this movie looks fine. Sure. I'm going to go. Chris, I'm going to go to the theaters, and I'm going to see The Creator when it comes out.
Sick,
I'm going to talk about it on this podcast.
Yeah. We're going to keep pushing, I think, our 8-9 hours of movie down the timeline, I think, because I want to pick something else.
Okay, that's fine.
Just keep shoving it down.
That's a good bit, but we can put it off as long as we want.
Yeah, it's just going to be such an undertaking.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe in the winter when things are depressing and we've got time to kill.
Maybe every week from now on.
We watch an hour.
We watch 2 movies, and then we watch 25 minutes of either of those movies.
Alternating.
But
yeah, I gotta say I was surprised by this movie in the sense that it was, again, it's a, like I have to have the caveat. I don't have to, but like it's not Raiders, but it's a good movie.
Yeah, I had fun with it.
Yeah.
This movie's good. I really enjoyed it. Now we put it off. We'll get back to it. The Face.
Yeah.
Very surprised that the first what feels like 45 minutes of this movie, it's probably like 20.
Sure.
Is young Indiana Jones.
Yeah. But I gotta say, I like the sequence a lot.
Oh, it's great. It's so good.
I can't believe they don't have like an AI way to de-age his voice a bit because they just let him have raw dog 90-year-old Harrison Ford voice
and movement. Like that's the strangest part of it. It's like the face looks whatever.
Sure,
like
it's pretty good.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But the thing about those things are like, if you keep it kind of in shadows or you don't get super close to it, that's when they look the best. When you first see it, they pull the bag off his face and someone pulls out a flashlight and puts it right on, and I'm like, why would you fucking do that?
Yeah.
That's insane to me. Because like for the rest of it, it worked for me. It was whatever. It was fine until he talked, and I was like, that's the strangest thing is like, it looks like young Indiana Jones, but it's like, man, this is old Harrison Ford with young Harrison Ford's face. It's so strange.
I will say this one, I don't mean this in a bad way. Like, it's odd that I'm into it, but, like, a lot of these modern retellings, or not retellings, revisitations, whatever you call them, revisitings of, like, these legacy characters, when it's done well, it feels like really, really, really good fan fiction. And I know that sounds backhanded.
Yeah, because it is.
It is. But what I mean to say is that, like, there's obvious care placed here. So, like, in this opening sequence, it's like, hey, 1939, classic indie versus Nazi, right?
Love
so
it.
Great.
Love to see it.
It's a midnight train, right? And he's fighting on top of the train and stuff. Love it.
I love when he's hanging from that noose and the bomb comes in and it goes through the floor and the whole thing explodes.
Yeah,
like,
this whole opening sequence is amazing.
Like, I love it. That's so, like,
Sure.
you couldn't do that in the era of Raiders in a movie, and, like, that's, like, the benefit of CGI is you get a scene like this, but also it is not as exciting as, you know, him fighting that guy on the plane. You know what I think they should have done, and I think they should always do in a situation like this where you're flashing back to an old character in a movie you've seen in the 80s? Why don't they make it look visually like Raiders? Why don't you make it look like it's being filmed on a camera from the 80s? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that would just, like, really sell it for me. You know, like, it feels... To have it look like a modern movie with young Indiana Jones in it feels a little ghoulish. You know, like, even though Harrison Ford is alive and he's doing it, it does still feel like they're puppeting around the corpse of young Indiana Jones.
Okay.
I feel like if you made it look more filmic and more like a movie from the era of the original Indiana Jones, it made it kind of feel more like, hey, here's just some footage we found.
Sure.
Like that, and it would feel more like a memory of young Indiana Jones, you know?
Sure.
And I think also with that, like, grain on it, the face would look probably a little bit better.
Sure.
And also, I didn't think about it until, like, the very end, and it got a little weird. I was like, oh, they're making Mads Mikkelsen young, too.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about that. I was like, Mads Mikkelsen? Like, obviously, when you see him later, he's definitely older than he looks at the beginning. I was like, Mads Mikkelsen? Timeless. Just if you told me he looked like that now, I'd totally believe it.
Sure. But yeah, so let's also, so something else I want to mention is, yes, so Indy is after another religious artifact. That was one of the things I was alluding to when I was saying, like, made with care. And I like the little bait and switch that it's like, nope, the lance of, whatever the fuck, I can't remember.
Cut Christ.
Yeah, the lance of, laryngitis or something, or laryngitis.
Arabia.
But anyways, they're actually after the Antikythera, which is a real-life artifact. It's often referred to as one of those quote-unquote out-of-place artifacts, whatever, where it's like, oh, how is this thing with gears?
It's fun.
From
I
Greece.
do like that stuff, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, modern-day, you know, scientists and archaeologists are pretty sure it was more of like a naval tool to, like, predict astrological, you know, star constellations and whatever, the moon and the sun and how it moved. Not to take away from the fact that it is universally considered the earliest example of something that could be considered a rudimentary computer, with air quotes, to some degree, and that nothing like it would exist for, you know, technically like thousands of years or whatever. So anyways, super impressive. Whether or not it was built by Archimedes or whatever, I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. All I know is about the actual,
Me neither, bud.
you know, the actual artifact itself. Anyways, so Mr. Mickelson has that, and
It's got half of it.
yeah, and I like that thing where, like, he goes and talks to head Nazi, and he's like, the lance is a replica. I also like that Mads Mikkelsen is like him and Indy are the two that are like, this is fake.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it immediately establishes them as being, like, intellectual equals, right? But anyways, he's like, yeah, that's some bullshit, but whatever, we got half the Antikythera. And I like that the head Nazi's like, yeah, but the Hitler wants lance. And he's like, yeah, but I have half of this thing, or whatever. And he's like, have you ever met Hitler? Because he's not going to have you with half of that thing. He wants lance.
He's not going to be happy with half of that thing he's never heard of.
Yeah, exactly. So that's great.
They fight on top of the train.
Yeah.
I do love that Indy and what's that guy's name? The little guy.
Baz.
Yeah. Do they mention him in another Indiana Jones movie? Because the name Basil sounds familiar. I can't remember where I've heard
I know
it recently.
Basil is the name of the guy who gives Austin Powers his, like, orders and stuff.
That's got to be it.
Yeah.
I love that him and Baz are literally running away. They're like, all right, we got to get out of here. And literally trip over this thing and go, oh, fuck, look at this, man.
Yeah.
Let's take this with us.
But they're fighting on top of the whatever with the Nazi.
Love a train fight.
And he gets hit by a post, basically.
Yeah.
And him and the dial just go flying. And Indian Baz...
jump off the side.
Because I do like that. I like that you can just see, like, again, it's one of those things like the confetti scene. Like, I love the visual of the sky just full of Allied forces, like, parachuting in.
Yeah, but here's the thing that kind of got me, though, especially watching Kingdom right before it, being like, it'd be so sick to see what Indy was doing in World War II, but this is what he's doing in World War II out by himself. Like, it doesn't look like that guy's like, oh, he won a bunch of medals. It's like, no, he's dressed like Indiana Jones just fucking around in Germany still.
Yeah. So they have to jump into the river or whatever, and they survive, yada, yada, yada. Flash forward.
Indiana Jones sleeping on a couch.
They
Boom.
give him the Rocky Balboa treatment.
Yeah, Magical Mystery Tour. It's the 60s, not the 50s.
Yeah, his son has died. His wife divorced him.
Indiana Jones is 70. Real
Yeah.
life, Harrison Ford, 80.
Yeah.
Don't know why that's so funny to me.
Yeah. He's teaching at college, but he's lost all passion. Nobody gives a shit on their end either. How could you with a professor like that also?
He's retiring. Everyone's like, hey, here's a clock. And he's like, fucking sick. Thanks for putting up with me, you fucking losers. See ya. And then he gives his clock to a homeless person. Goes and gets hammered.
Yeah.
Phoebe Waller-Bridges comes up to him. She goes, what's up, dude? And he's like, hey, what's up? She's like, you remember me? He's like, no, not really. And she's like, it's me, your goddaughter. And he's like, oh, shit, what's up, Wombat?
Yeah.
Love that. Great nickname.
Yeah.
The whole movie, I'm like, okay, especially because she's got that boy sidekick like Short Round.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, are they going to make... Is this movie going to end with her being new Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
And is her name going to be Wombat Jones? Because Indiana's the dog's name, you know? So is her name going to be Wombat?
Yeah.
They didn't do that. Pretty stoked about it. I'd watch that movie, but I'm pretty stoked they didn't do that.
Yeah. So, mega backstory, just get it out of the way. Baz was always obsessed with the fucking dial. They didn't lose it off the train in Nazi Germany or whatever. He became obsessed with it, realized that it has too much power and needs to be destroyed. That's why it's in 2 pieces or whatever. And Indy took it and was like, I promise I'll destroy it. You see this later. It's a good scene because, like, he knows that, like, he's being crazy. He's like, your daughter's in the other room or whatever. And when he's leaving, he tries to apologize to young Phoebe or whatever. And she gives him his hat as he's driving off and stuff. But whatever. In the present, here and now, she's like, hey, I'm obsessed with this too because my dad was into it. I want to see this motherfucker.
A great line when he's just like, why would you want to find the thing that your dad obsessed his whole life over? She goes, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Simultaneously, Mads Mikkelsen has put a man on the moon for the U.S. government.
That's
I like
true,
that they do a little touching on the whole, like, you know, hey, you little Nazi scientist, you're smart enough, we're not going to kill you.
Yeah.
But anyways, and so to appease him, later on you find out the U.S. government has agreed to, like, help him on his little quest for his little sundial or whatever. So he's after this thing as well, and he's got some goons. Classic, like, I like dumb American guy with mustache.
The bad guy from Logan. Great.
Yeah.
My favorite character in this movie, Chris.
Big muscle
Big guy. I love Big Guy
Guy
so much. He says nothing, doesn't really do a lot, but every time he comes on screen,
he's massive.
I'm just smiling ear to ear. I'm like, this guy's huge. Like, you see big muscle guys in movies all the time, but it cannot be
huge.
Understated how
he's the biggest
big
man.
this guy is. He's like
and it
a
was
cartoon
like, I kept thinking
character.
about it. Like, I was like, is this a combination of him being huge and them also doing camera tricks? Because no man is this big.
I don't care. He's just so big. I love it.
But anyways, basically, they're after the dial. They're trying to help Mads Mikkelsen get this dial. There's all kinds of killing people. And, you know, there's the one woman who's, like, the representative from the U.S. government who, like, is supposed to be overseeing Mads Mikkelsen and his goons. And she's like, this is not how things are done. And, like, this is fucked. This is just over. Like, this is not good, you know?
I'm confused. Or maybe I'm not. Tell me if I'm right about this. When Wombat and Indiana Jones are talking for the first time at the bar.
Yes.
She's laying all the things out, and she says, me and you could... This is where your train crashed, and this is where that guy fell off. So me and you could go there, and we could go find this thing.
Yes.
And he's like, no, we don't want to do that. And then he's got it the whole time, right?
Yeah.
He came back, and he took it because Baz found it, correct?
Yeah.
And she knew that? Mm-hmm. And was lying to him to get him to
she's trying to
spill
play it
the
off
beans?
like she doesn't remember that night.
Okay,
yeah. She's trying to play it off like she doesn't remember that night.
Spoilers, she's going to sell it because that's who she is. That's her whole thing now.
Her whole thing is that she sells and she sexes.
Yeah, she's not an archaeologist like him and her father. She's like, oh no, I sell. She's like, I'm a what would you call it? She's like, I'm not. It doesn't belong in a museum. It belongs in my pocket.
She's like a rogue.
Yeah,
You know,
love
she's
it.
like a kind of a thief,
Love it.
plunderer, grave robber, whatever. Anyways, yeah, and much like the other Indiana Jones movies, when violence and stuff happens, it's just brutal. Like when those people get killed in the office, and he's like calling the cops, and he's like, there are people dead. Like, whatever.
Oh yeah, there's big guy. There's woman who works for
Government.
the government, and then there's dumb American guy who his only character trait is that he loves to shoot.
Yeah.
This whole movie he spends just shooting his gun and everybody going, will you stop fucking shooting a gun?
Later on, you find out, because like Mads Mikkelsen says, like he's talking about a veteran who drops off his food, and he's like, you didn't win the war, Hitler lost it. So that's his whole thing. He's such a big Nazi that he's like, spoilers, he wants to take the Dial of Destiny back to 1939, kill Hitler to ensure that the Nazis can win, because as far as he's concerned, the Nazis didn't win just because Hitler's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, like before I knew he thought Hitler was an idiot when he said that, he's like, you didn't lose, Hitler lost. I'm like, that's not really the flex that I think you think it is, man.
Yeah. But that's one of the things I like, one of the earliest details, the first time you see Mustache Man, he's talking to a guy in crutch, and he says like, Deutschland, Deutschland, Deutschland. That's German for you've got a broken arm or whatever. He's learning German because he already knows they're going back to 1939. Dog. He's getting ready. He's getting ready.
Very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't put that together. Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, basically there's this huge, chase through the confetti. The big Apollo 11s happen because like he knocks on the door of his neighbor's playing like Magic Mystery Tour too loud, and he's like, don't you know, old man, they're spacemen now.
It's Moon Day.
Yeah. Whatever. So the only thing I'm going to say about the chase is I'm pretty sure in the dumb script that dumb Nick Cage is writing an adaptation, his like third act is like, he's like, and then we're going to have a guy on a horse being chased by a motorcycle because it's like technology, like the past versus the present or whatever. And they do that.
They do
that.
I do really like the shot when he gets away from them in the crowd. Yeah. And dumb American shoots the gun in the air, and everybody except for him and Indiana Jones duck. Yeah. I just thought that was a cool shot. I really liked it.
It was a good shot.
And I do love, even though it's what you just said, it is really hokey. I do love watching Indiana Jones run a horse through a subway. It's so fun.
Oh yeah, through the subway. Yes. He gets away, and now he's wanted for murder.
Yes.
I like this shot where he's like watching the news, or that guy's like, "You're the guy. You're the murderer." And his buddy shows up, and they go,
"Oh fuck, what's his friend's name? He's in the first one."
I haven't seen Raiders that recently.
Oh, Chris.
I'm also not really good with movies' names.
Oh, Chris.
You know that. If you've listened to this podcast before, I'm not good with movies' names.
Well, I haven't, so.
But anyways, but basically, him and his friend go back to his house, and then he's like, you got to put me on a plane. And he's like, you're going to get caught. And he's like, I don't care. I got to get on this plane. So he gets on a plane. He goes to Peru. And then this scene here where she's like selling in this like back alley, big Star Wars vibes for me. Just reminds me of almost like the casino scene from The Last Jedi. Like, it just seems like
in the bar,
a little detour into like this like shady back, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But
we skipped, she stole the dial from India and she booked it.
Yeah, she basically revealed, I like money and sex. But anyways, she's trying to sell this thing, then Mads Mikkelsen shows up, and I love this. I love like Indy where he's like, I recognize you or whatever, and he's like, no you don't, my name is Professor Smith, I'm from Alabama or whatever. He's like, interesting. Because the last time I saw a guy who looked just like you, he was after this Nile.
And he was a Nazi.
Yeah. Good.
I love every conversation that they have. Indiana Jones is like, "Fuck you, racist bitch." It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, really, always a treat to see Harrison Ford, but obviously, always a treat to see Mads Mikkelsen. Like I said, like I really feel like, I couldn't be more over the moon with like this is probably my favorite movie Nazi. He does a really good job of just being just a fucking like compelling prick. Yeah, that you don't like, but you're intrigued by. You know,
he plays every part of it pitch perfect, like the way this character should be. Like the entire time, he's like, he's this is like this weaselly kind of intimidating Nazi, but like at the end,
he's also super smart and capable, and precise.
And then like at the end, when he realizes he's wrong and they're going to the wrong spot, he starts freaking out.
Oh
like,
I love
you
that
little
scene.
Bitch, I
love that scene. Whatever, it starts this crazy like chase where like Indy and Phoebe Bridgers and Teddy. I love Teddy. Teddy watching like he's being taught how to pilot by like these American pilots or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Anyways, the chase goes on forever. There's all kinds of stuff. It involves
ensues.
it ensues with like an ex-lover, and there's shotguns, and people get killed, and yada yada yada. Next set piece is
really, really, really. If you can make Harrison Ford's face 40 years younger, do the guy a favor. When he's running, use some CGI to straighten out his back and make him look like he's not an 80-year-old man running. It is so tough to watch.
Yeah.
There's a couple shots where he's hobbling.
Yeah.
Definition of the word hobbling
Yeah.
behind other people. I'm like,
Yeah.
why would you do my man like this?
Yeah,
It's
just to
so
pause for a
tough.
minute. And when we were watching the fourth one, I was like, man, he really is like almost like an untouchable hero in this point. But I was like, yeah, you also don't want to see an old man get the shit kicked out of him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a great
You don't
point.
really want to see an old man get beat
Yeah,
up.
and there's so many points in this movie, even before this part, where you see him running when he's like when he's on that horse. There's a part where he turns around on the horse after it like gets done running somewhere. I'm like, that ain't no fucking Harrison Ford on that horse for sure. That's a CGI face.
I
on
read
that
something
man on
about
a
him
horse.
like biking 40 miles a day to try to get in shape for this thing.
Okay.
Like not like actual out, like on a cycle, like sitting
okay.
down for a couple hours and cycling 40 miles. I do 10 miles in 30 minutes, for example. So at that pace, if he could keep that, that'd be what, 2 hours of cycling a day to
Yeah.
try to get in shape.
And hey, I can only pray that I look like Harrison Ford when I'm
Yeah,
80 years
because
old.
when
He
he's
looks
shirtless,
great.
he's
Yeah,
still like shredded. I mean, he got that
yeah.
low T body, making him look like E.T.
a little bit. Yeah, but
it's
I
just
would.
an old man thing. There's nothing wrong with it.
I wouldn't want to take a punch from that guy. That guy's arms are shredded. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
looking great.
also I do love.
I want to be that guy that like stays in shape. I don't want to be gross, but I want to be that guy that like you're like, wow, you know, for 80,
Good on
pretty
you.
good.
Yeah.
You know,
I'd love to be that guy who right now gets in shape.
yeah,
I do love. He's wanted for murder.
yeah,
His face is all over the news. Everyone's
Yeah.
like, Indiana Jones killed somebody. Mm-hmm. And he goes, Sala, that's the guy's name. I got to get on this plane and get the fuck out of here.
yeah.
And Sala goes, well, here, if you're on the run for murder and you don't want anyone to find you, here's your Indiana Jones costume. He goes, oh, thank you. I better dress like Indiana Jones before I go.
Yeah, yeah. Next set piece is they have to go out with some Grecian sponge divers to find the other half of the Antikythera.
The chase is broken up into two spots. Sorry, it's inside the bar, and then they're on the little motorcycle things.
Yeah.
And that's when the mafia in this wherever they are comes, and I love that.
They're can't remember actually, because not Peru. The last movie is Peru, right?
Oh.
So they're in
They're in. No, Syracuse is in Sicily.
Sicily. Yeah.
Maybe they're in Syracuse. Maybe they're not. I don't know.
Where do they use tuk-tuks? Is it just India?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, I do love that little exchange with that guy coming up, and you find out that she was engaged to him, and well, that's it. It's fun, very fun. I like all of it. And then he goes, oh, I know a guy that's got a boat, and you're gonna need me. She's like, fine. And they get there, and the guy who drives the boat, Chris, fucking Antonio Banderas, out of nowhere, made me so happy. I'm like, no one told me Puss in Boots is gonna be in this movie. But there Zorro is, and he's hobbling around, and he's got a big shitty boat. And he's like, all right, we're gonna go down here. We're going to be down here for 3 minutes, and we probably won't get the bends.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, sick. And so they're just hooked up.
And I timed it from when they at that shelf, that specific shelf. They go down 3 minutes.
I saw you look at your watch, and I was like, oh, God, is Chris really not enjoying this movie so much that he wants to know how long it's been going on? And then, like, by the time they're going up, you look at your watch again. I was like, oh, that little guy, he was timing it. And I don't know why, just them having the tubes connected to them from the boat was really funny to me for some reason.
Yeah. I like all this though, the old timey diving stuff.
Yeah.
It's all very great. They get the they call it like the Graphicos, right?
Yeah.
Which is like going to lead them to the other half of the Antikythera.
And I do love, again, more of the adventure movie shit.
Yeah.
I think we might have done a little bit of a disservice seeing these back to back, like literally minutes apart from each other.
Sure.
Because the chase, the adventure movie chase of it all.
This one's way better than the last movie. I'll say that.
Yes, but it wasn't getting me as much as the last one because I think I might have been burnt out from just watching Crystal Skull.
See, me personally, I didn't watch the one in the jungle at all. I was looking at my phone for that section. So when this one hit, it hit.
All right. But like just the I love when she's like, well, yeah, I know where the Galapagos is. Because remember where they found half the dial?
Yeah.
My dad realized there's 100 people on that ship. They weren't just taking that thing or half of this thing around for fun. They must have had the other thing. He goes, oh, your dad was a genius. And she goes, yeah, I know. I'm like, fuck, that's so cool. That's such cool adventure movie shit.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So they go down there. They find it. There's eels, which are basically
water snakes. Love it. It's so funny.
Anyways, but who shows up? Mads Mikkelsen.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's this whole thing with like, because there was the bet with the play being like, which cipher is the thing going to be written in? Yada, yada. Whatever. Let's pause and go back to Indiana Jones 4. There was a point where I was like, oh my god, Mac is a triple agent. Well, I guess he just lied about being a double agent. Then 3 minutes later, Mac reveals that he was a triple agent or whatever. And Indiana Jones goes, you were a triple agent? And Mac's like, no, I just lied about being a double agent.
So good. Loved it.
But anyways, now back to this movie.
Maybe
Phoebe Bridgers is like, guess what? I'm going to do it just for the money. I'll read this thing to you. Yada, yada, yada. Oops, actually got dynamite in my pocket. Blows up boat. They escape. Anyways, go ahead.
And she got way too into it, and Indiana Jones is. I do love that scene, like you said, when Harrison Ford acts instead of just being him.
Like when his buddy gets shot in front of him. Yeah.
I love when they're on the boat and she's like, oh fuck, hell yeah, we got away.
Yeah,
he goes,
he's like, my friend just died. Yeah,
so good.
Yeah. Because there's that point even on the boat or whatever where she's like, if you could find the dial, what would you do with it? And you're like, I'd turn back time and I'd convince my son not to enlist or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, that scene is so.
God.
Like, because when he's walking away or whatever, she's like, "You still wearing your wedding ring?" And he just keeps walking. He doesn't even flinch. He doesn't even stop for a second.
Also, favorite joke in this movie.
Yeah.
At the beginning, he's like so upset about when he's in his house. He's so upset. He puts that magnet over the picture of Marion.
Yeah.
When she comes back at the end, she like opens the fridge to put things in it, and he goes, "What are you doing here?" And you can just see him kind of in the corner take the magnet off of her face. Very funny.
Yeah.
And then they got the Galapagos, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, it's written in the whatever, but it's not the whatever. Oh, it's made out of whatever. Melt it.
They wax. Yeah, because that was the thing is so like in real life, the Antikythera, I think that's what it's actually called in real life, whatever. But it's like covered in like limey green stuff. It's like because it was at the bottom of the ocean or whatever. So in this movie, they retconned that and they said that it was like preserved in wax. So same thing with this little disc. That's why it's in the wax, or whatever. That's why the Antikythera looks perfect in this movie. It also doesn't look like it does in real life, but that's their explanation for why it looks so perfect. So it was in wax.
And I do like this little beat where they melt the thing down. It's just this big piece of what are the people called? Where Archimedes is from?
Greek.
Yeah, it's just a big piece of old Greek gold from from the year 400 or whatever.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, "Go ahead, hold it, Teddy." And she looked at Indy and she goes, "Let him hold it."
Yeah.
He's just like, "Oh yeah, sure." It's very cute. I like it.
Yeah,
a lot.
there's a couple of things. One is like, I wonder if preserved in wax and at the bottom of the ocean like that. Excuse me. If that gold would be technically worth more. Obviously, it'd be worth more just because it's like a historical artifact. But like, it reminds me of Goldfinger. Like the whole point of Goldfinger is that like something about like, or like I think in real life, like you can actually like tell gold apart from like there's something that happened after the atomic bomb that like you can just tell that gold is a little bit different. I can't explain it, but what I'm trying to say is I wonder if that gold being preserved from like, you know what I'm saying, the radiation of that like makes it more valuable.
Are you saying that since atomic bombs have gone off, it's affected all gold?
I think so. I think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's the whole thing in like Goldfinger is that he's just going to expose the world's gold to radiation to devalue it a little bit. Or something like that. But anyways, totally off topic. That's a tangent.
Chris, I don't think I'm going to be able to move off of this. I'm going to be thinking about it the whole time.
Write it down so you can Google it later.
Okay.
And then you can explain it to me better or correct me on whatever I'm wrong about. But so then, yeah, they now know that they need to go to a specific cave in Sicily, right? Or is it actually mainland Italy?
I think isn't it Syracuse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Sicily?
Yeah.
Yeah? Is that where? Okay.
I believe so.
Anyways, there's this whole thing about like where the Echo becomes a hurricane and they're going through it. And this section literally to me, like I know that the Goonies is just kids Indiana Jones, but this
Yeah.
part feels
It's
like
the Goonies,
adult
yeah.
Goonies.
Yeah,
Because it's
absolutely.
literally just them going through the Goonies set, and then a little bit behind them, the bad guys are going through the Goonies set.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I might. It feels a little bit on purpose.
Yeah.
And I got no problem with it.
No, it's all fun.
It's fun. I do
Yeah.
love. I like when people in this movie like each other.
Yeah.
I love when the two of them are just
Yeah.
yelling in the cave together, and they're
Yeah.
both going bum 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 bum.
Yeah,
And they're
I also
for
like
each other.
anytime Indiana Jones and Mads Mikkelsen like bump into each other. I just love that he's always like, "Very good, Mr. Jones. You've saved me so much work." Like,
Yeah, it's so
He's
good,
not
yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill this guy," because like, why would he? This guy keeps doing his work
Yeah,
for him.
I know. I love that. Not a set piece goes by in this movie that doesn't end with Mads Mikkelsen showing up, going fucking sick. Thanks.
Yeah,
dude."
the whole time I kept thinking like, "Damn, it's gotta be the best to be the second guy on site."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh God.
It's like that thing where it's like, don't buy a yacht, have a friend with a yacht or whatever, you know, like or hot tub, right? Like you don't have to buy a hot tub, just have a friend who's
Yeah.
got a hot tub, right?
They're going through the cave. They
I
go
love
across the
little Teddy
bridge.
on top of the thing. He's up on top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love when they're climbing up and he's like, "Oh, grumble, grumble, grumble." And she's like, "What?" And he's just like, what am I? I'm old as fuck, man." And she goes, "Yeah, you really are." He goes, "Fucking get out of my face."
Yeah. But
Like,
whatever, Mads Mikkelsen's got the whole shit now. I like that on Archimedes' Medes' wrist. They got a wristwatch or whatever.
Oh, that was so sick.
Because that's another out of place artifact kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
love,
Yeah.
it's so like they're just alluding here and there to like even in the flashback, they're like fucking Archimedes figured out how to travel through time, and they're like, yeah, okay, whatever, probably not. I'm Indiana Jones. I think that's gobbledygook.
Yeah.
All right, I believe in aliens, but not time travel.
Yeah.
And then when they're looking at his tomb, and she's like, "Look at this bird." He goes, "Yeah, whatever, it's a phoenix." She goes, "No, this thing for sure has propellers on it."
Yeah.
He goes, "That's weird," and then pushes the thing off and go, "Oh my god, this dude's wearing a wristwatch."
Yeah.
He did it. I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's so sick, Chris.
Yeah.
I love it."
Yeah. It is interesting that it like it implies that it's just that one loop though, right?
Yeah,
Like it just connects those two times
exactly,
or something,
yeah.
right? Yeah. But anyways, basically, Mads Mikkelsen shows up and he's like, all right, here's my whole thing. I'm gonna take it back to 1939. I'm gonna kill Hitler, save the Nazis, whatever.
I'm gonna run it back.
Yeah.
Do it one more time.
Yeah. So we're just gonna jump forward to being in the hangar, and they're all dressed up in the regalia. Oh, go ahead. You got something?
A shootout starts happening, and someone shoots Indiana Jones right in the chest. I went,
Oh, yeah.
"Oh, fuck. Don't tell me this movie ends with Indiana Jones dying. That
Yeah,
fucking
I also thought
sucks."
that like 20 minutes in, I was like, let me guess, he gets shot, and then they use the dial to bring him back. They didn't do that though.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. I
Yeah.
gotta say, this movie, gotta give it some props.
At every point where I'm like, "Oh, that's gonna be so dumb," they don't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're on the hangar. They're all just
This
like
is one of my
Nazis.
favorite things. It's hard for me. I hope this is getting across, but I think it'd be so fucking funny to, in 1969, assume that you're about to successfully time travel to 1939, unsuccessfully travel to 1939, travel to any time post World War II, and then also be found out that you're not from 1939. You specifically dressed up like you couldn't be any more red-handed caught. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if it came to now and they were like, "What the fuck?" Like we can tell by like whatever test we've done on you that you're from the year 1969. Why are you dressed like this?
Yeah, fuck, that's so
You
funny.
know what I mean?
Like it's so it visually looks great, and it makes sense it looks good in the end of this movie, but there is no
Yeah.
conceivable reason that they would dress up like Nazis
Yeah.
before time travel.
Exactly.
Just put the costumes in your backpack.
Yeah. But whatever. So that plane's about to take off, and then like Phoebe Bridgers and Teddy, they're gonna whatever. Phoebe Bridgers jumps onto the plane off a motorcycle. It's great. It's daring. It's raining.
It's
It's
the end of
raining
Toy Story
so thick.
2.
It reminds me of Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
And Teddy hops up in that thing and he gets to fly a plane for the first time, but he's also like scared and nervous. And I think they do that great. Like I'm there for it. Teddy, great. You know.
There's that dude in the back of
Yeah.
the plane who comes out of nowhere
Yeah.
and then promptly disappears. That
Yeah.
was very strange.
Yeah. But basically, right as they're about to go into the time rift or whatever, like everything's like shifting to like the center of the plane or whatever, and Indy's just like Continental Drift, the dial, Archimedes. He would have based this all on the sun and the moon and the tides and all that kind of stuff, but he wouldn't have known about Continental Drift because it wouldn't have been discovered for another 1,600 years. And like the whole time, like he keeps saying that, but like someone keeps going, "Shut up!" And Mads Mikkelsen's like, "No, let him talk," or whatever. But then there's also like the pilot's going like, "30 seconds till we go through it. 15 seconds." And Mads Mikkelsen's like sweating, and he's like, "Shut up! I'm thinking," whatever. And he's like, no, turn back. We gotta abort this. And they're like
sucking us in.
yeah,
buddy.
they're like, it's too late. It's sucking us in or whatever. And then they blast through, and it's 214 BC.
So fucking sick.
Yeah.
Like
because it reminds me of like old school sci-fi shit. Like there's old like TV shows about that, like Land Before Time and stuff like that. There's old Twilight Zone episodes about like the same thing happening, where like Bermuda Triangle type shit, but you end up in like prehistoric times looking at dinosaurs, and it's just like such classic. Like again, it's one of those things like Roswell 50s action serials from Steven and George is childhood. Like it's just classic. Adventure nonsense.
Yeah, and like when it happens at first, it's like this feels a bit much.
Yeah, at
for
first I was
Indiana
apprehensive,
Jones,
but they were very tasteful.
Yeah, and when you think about it, it's like, oh right, in The Last Crusade, he meets a 700-year-old knight.
Yeah,
and he saw the Ark of the Covenant, and a bunch of ghouls came out of it, and then he met aliens in the last one. Yeah. So. And then, they're flying around and they're getting spears thrown at him, and like all the inventions he's talking about in class earlier are being shown.
The fucking shit just destroying the plane and like killing that one guy. Oh god.
Yeah, and then dumb American guy goes, "Well, it's my thing. The only thing I do in this movie," and just starts blasting at
a bunch
everybody.
Of people, and he's trying to say like, "You have no idea what the fuck you're doing right now."
Yeah,
because like, have you ever looked at like the upside down like. For you to exist, there's 2 people, and then for those 2 people, there's 4, and like how quickly it becomes 2,000 people.
Yeah,
like just so quickly. So any one of those people goes bye, and suddenly that whole fucking thing is fucked.
Yeah, and they're there, and I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, okay, if Indiana Jones dies in this movie, but he dies in the year 214. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I actually don't hate that for Indiana Jones, is him being... Jesus, it sounds him becoming an artifact himself.
Sure.
Like, this is his whole shit. He's... And, like, you get that moment when he's, like, there on the ground, and, like, Wombat's like, we got to get out of here. He goes, look at this.
Yeah.
Look at where we are right now. And she's like, I know, this is all really cool, but we got to go. And, like, when he gets up, and he's like, you got to leave me here. As soon as he said that, I was like, no, I take it back. That's actually dumb as fuck. I really hope he doesn't die here.
Sure. Yeah, no, so Archimedes feels like drawn almost supernaturally to it. He comes to like the crash site, right? And they talk to him for a second, right? I think that's very touching. You get that Doctor Who moment.
Yeah.
With the whole like, you're an unbelievably wise man, super important. Then you get the Goonies moment where it's like, she's like, no, Indy, this here, it's their time. But us back there, that's our time.
Yeah.
But it is really touching. Yeah.
I like that. They say it's like you said, it's the loop thing. They're like, oh no, he made that to call in help. We're the help that came to help them win this battle. Now we gotta get the fuck out of here. It's pretty cool. So did he understand continental drift? Is that what that means?
Whoa. Maybe it just wasn't a factor. I don't know. I'm not smart. But I do also like that he's like, this is my whole shit. Leave me here. I've spent my whole life reading about this stuff. Now I can see it. But obviously she's like, you got to go.
It's like, we got medicine at home. You got shot once, old man. You're going to live.
Yeah. And this is her time to shine. This is really where she gets to knock it out of the park. I think Phoebe Bridgers does a great job here. And
and him being like, I'm an old bitch that ain't got no one to live for. Let me fucking die looking at 214. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And they bring him back.
Yeah. Then you wake up with the same shot, very Back to the Future-y. Also, Back to the Future, I think
she punches
opens.
Him.
Yeah, but it does like the same shot of him waking up. But the other thing is, I think Back to the Future, like before, another nod to Back to the Future is that like the movie starts, I think, with just the ticking of a clock, which Back to the Future does also, because he's got all those like tick 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 tick.
Okay, I don't remember that in this, but okay, I believe it.
If it doesn't start with that, it at least happens when one of the emblems are going up. It starts doing the tick 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 or whatever.
Okay.
And then that happens later when he wakes up in his time, the tick 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 tick, and then they mirror it later. What?
I guess I'll say it now because I just thought about it and I forgot to bring it up at the beginning. Every Indiana Jones movie, the titles pop up, and then it's the Paramount one with the mountain, and then every Indiana Jones that fades into a mountain or something in the movie, and that's the first shot of the movie. And in Crystal Skull, it was the molehill that the gopher came out of, you know?
Yeah.
And in this one, because Paramount's not the last one in order anymore, the last one is the LucasArts or Lucasfilm logo.
Uh-huh.
And then it fades into the lock on that door that they pull open and pull Indiana Jones out of. I was like, all right, that's pretty sick. Because I saw the Paramount, I was like, all right, are they going to do it? Are they going to fade it? And then with the Lucasfilm, I went, oh, you sons of bitches, that it fades it. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Also, I like that this and Crystal Skull uses the same font at the beginning. Like, there's no fanfare for Indiana Jones in the Dial of Destiny. It's just that same font from the other ones. Good, love it.
Yeah, I also gotta say, it's weird seeing the Disney. In the front. Like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, what the fuck? This ain't no Disney. I was like, oh, that's right. They have more money than God, and they own everything.
Oh, right. A real monopoly. Yeah.
Yeah, genuine monopoly.
Yeah.
As if the world needed any more. If only there were, like, laws in place to stop, like, I don't know, any one of these, like, dozen companies that are definitely monopolizing things right now from whatever it is. Like, I'm just making shit up, but, like, you know, even down to, like, fucking water supply, water bottle type shit, to, like, energy companies. Everybody's monopolizing, and it just seems like, who gives a fuck?
Well, I think pretty soon Disney is going to turn 100, so a lot of their properties are going to be public domain.
That ain't gonna happen.
That's a joke. It already happened.
Yeah.
The government's like, yeah, but not Mickey Mouse, though, you know?
Anyway.
So they're back. Marion shows up because she's taking care of him.
Right.
And he's like, what are you doing here? She's like, fucking dude, you got shot. I'm here to take care of you, old bitch.
Yeah. Man, they are on again, off again.
They really are.
They make out hot and heavy.
They do. I was thinking the last one, when she showed up, I'm like, oh, wow, she looks great. For being a 6-year-old woman, she looks great. She showed up in this one, I was like, man, she looks great for being an 80-year-old woman.
Yeah.
Lady who plays Marion, I don't remember what your name is. Good on you.
And that's picture wrap.
Yeah, it goes outside, and Phoebe Waller-Bridges is walking away, and they're all gonna go get ice cream, and then the camera pans up to his hat, and then it does the circle fade.
Yeah, circle fade was fun.
And then, Indiana Jones is over.
Yeah.
We got up and left. I almost busted my ass because the floor was wet.
Mm-hmm.
That was that.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a straight up probably B, I think. Thinking maybe B+, but probably B. I'll give it a solid B.
I'm going to give it a B, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like when we're on the same page. So for this one, I'm going to give it a B.
Yeah. What were you inclined to give it?
I hadn't thought about it at all.
Okay. Yeah. Solid movie.
Yeah.
It's good. It's fun to sit in the theater and see an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, like, I feel like, you know, one of the things, like I said, I feel like we might have been a little harsh on the Temple of Doom. I don't know, but, like, I just feel like having now seen technically 3 of the earliest, most classic and revered, like, James Bond, I don't know, I just have, like, a more of an affinity for him. Like, they just, they give me that, like, the highs that James Bond can go to.
Yeah.
Like, as early as they did. What I mean to say is, like, yes, objectively, they're, like, boring spy thriller action movies from the 60s, but if you put yourself in that space mentally or whatever and try to appreciate them for what they are, sometimes, like that fight scene on the train in the second one. What's the second one?
Russia with Love.
So great.
Kicks.
And so yeah, so it's just one of those things where, like, yeah, like when I'm watching Indiana Jones, I'm like, oh shit, this is like just like really good action adventure, like Bondy movie where, like, it's just a different aesthetic in the sense that it's set in 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, and it's an archaeology thing, and he's a big fat nerd, and he fucks and has money, but it's not like he has more money than God and fucks more than just like an average guy who's kind of charming.
Like, those are things that you know about him, but it's never what he's about. It's never, he never talks about it, but you know Indiana Jones fucks and spends.
Yeah, and also having seen a couple of Indiana Jones movies, not Indiana Jones, a couple of Bonds movies, I thinking back, Archer seems even funnier because, like, I'm just like, like, I'm like, literally Bond is like, not trying to be an ass, but just a fucking idiot who has sex and drinks. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially Goldfinger, again, I watched it one time. It's been a while, but that whole movie, it's like, he's just kidnapped. Everyone else does all the work. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like,
it takes a while for Bond to become a competent person. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure the Daniel Craig ones go crazy.
They do. Oh, they really do.
And Mads Mikkelsen is one of them. So we gotta watch.
He's in Casino Royale.
Gotta watch so many of them before we get there. Yeah. So, hint for next week.
I was gonna. Oh yeah, we can do that. We could. I was gonna ask, but I think I know the answer. So who do you think is cooler, Indiana Jones or James Bond?
Indiana Jones.
Yeah, for sure, it's
Yeah.
Indiana Jones. I think, you know what
'Cause
I think?
knowledge is power.
I think knowledge is power, and I do like that Indiana Jones is going in the ground with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
I just love that. I don't know why.
I hope they bury him with the hat and the whip.
I do too, and
They
I
buried
hope
Bill Lugosi in the cape.
that's fun.
Yeah.
And I think Harrison Ford, because he fucking hates Star Wars. Don't talk to that man about Han Solo ever.
Yeah.
But I think he has a genuine affinity. I think he legitimately really likes Indiana Jones. I pray to God that they don't make another one. I hope when he dies, they stop making Indiana Jones movies.
Okay. Yeah, and for just the millionth time, I gotta say it. I feel like there's a chance we might have been a little too harsh in Temple of Doom because I'm really warming up to Indiana Jones. I like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said it when we
more.
talked about it. I was making a thumbnail the entire time, so I didn't watch a lot of it. I was like, whatever.
Yeah. But no, I gotta say, I also have a genuine affinity for Indiana Jones. I mean, I think it's an interesting role model. I mean, there's the whole thing with archaeology being like, I don't know where you stand on it. I get the argument about like grave robbing and stuff, but there's also a degree to which where people are like, I'm not very spiritual. I am, but I'm not. I definitely understand the whole like respect their customs, but I'm saying like if something's like 3,000 years old, you can crack that bitch open for the sake of science and history and knowing things. I think.
Yes, but also
Is
if
my thing.
you're an American archaeologist and you go to that country, then you find it,
Yeah.
and the people of that country go, no, do not crack that
Yeah.
open. Don't crack that open and put it in a museum. You give it to them to do with what they
Okay.
want. It's cool. It is cool that Indiana Jones is like, it belongs in a museum instead of selling it, but also he wants it in
American.
He probably is going to put it in an American museum.
Yeah.
There's I think not too long ago I watched maybe it was a John Oliver thing about museums and how the British Museum and how fucked that place is, how everything there is stolen, and like the general consensus now from like people of the government are like, yeah, it is. We all know. We'll admit that, but we're not gonna give it back.
Yeah.
That was so long ago. It's none of our fault. Just keep it where it is, huh, guys?
Yeah.
And like they show a clip of like one guy is showing like a reporter through there, and he goes, "Oh, dude, check out what's in this box." He opens it up. He goes, "What is that?" He goes, "This is the head of Emperor so and so."
Yeah.
He goes, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." And it's just in a box back here. He goes, "That's so disrespectful." He goes, "Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's fucked."
Yeah. Yeah.
But Indy would never.
It's just interesting. So again, it's like one of those things where like, it's just, I wish that there was a nice system for it to be fair and equitable. Maybe there was some sort of exchanging of money or like loaning in good faith where like maybe these things could rotate on like a scholarly basis where it's like objectively, this belongs to Egypt and it will end up back in Egypt. But every couple of years we let it like tour national museums. I wish almost maybe there was like an international body that governed museums, not as an actual governmental body, but you know what I'm saying, like an organization or something. Because like the nice thing about a museum is that it's like, hey, I know you grew up in, let's just say, Warren, Michigan, or whatever. But if you go down to the DIA, you can see 3,000-year-old Egyptian mummies. The same way that, like, objectively, like, you can measure the effect that like a zoo has on like children and generally getting children interested in like the conserving the environment and like these animals. It's the same thing where it's like, I feel like that's so valuable to like actually physically see that shit. And it's, again, like I get, like it's just, I'm not making a stance either way, and I don't think I have to this point totally, but it is just, I want to highlight that it's like sad for that to go away, I guess, if we were to return everything where it belongs. I feel like that would just also, you know what I'm saying?
I know, but I think that shit happens all the time where museums loan things to other museums.
Absolutely.
And I think that could still happen. If
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying ideally I would like that to.
Those things
just
could
a standard.
Yeah, if we returned everything to where it went, and then the places that have that those things belong to, they get to decide when and where they go to other museums. That's the right thing to do, I think. And if it's a religious artifact or something like that, like I think a lot of those things like are things that people are like, hey, we would very much so like to pray to this thing that you have locked up. That sucks.
Interesting stuff. It's interesting stuff. I can't remember the names, but it's just interesting. Like I know that there are like a couple of early diaries that
Anne Frank?
Yeah, not just Anne Frank, but I'm talking like even like from like BC times. I think there are a couple of like fragments here and there, and it's just one of those things where it's like we literally know these people's names or whatever. They're important to history, not because they did anything, but because they're the one person who had a diary survive.
Yeah, that's
You know what I'm saying?
crazy. Yeah,
So like that's one of the things, like I keep a journal.
you keep a lot. Is that where you keep? You have so many?
Yeah.
Is that so? At least some of it's gonna survive.
Yeah, no, I just journal every day because I think it's good for my mental health and it helps me out a lot. But I mean, all I'm saying is that like, if no one else gives a shit, maybe one of them will last a couple thousand years and I'll be the only. But sadly, I live in the age of the social media, so it would have to outlast the internet. So
True.
for it to be any kind of important, because otherwise, why would you not just look at Twitter?
Well, it's a very real possibility that technology could fail us in the future, and the internet's
Yeah.
no longer a thing.
I mean, they say like bad enough solar flare and it could knock out everything digital.
Yeah.
Just fry everything we've made.
And they say you die 3 times. When you die, you die the last time you take a breath, the last time someone talks about you, and the last time someone thinks about you. So, if one of those journals is still around, you'll be immortal, baby.
I'll be immortal, baby. Just gotta keep cranking them out. So, anyways, next week, what do you want to watch?
You said you had an idea?
Yeah, it was gonna be You Got Mail with Tom Hanks.
Okay.
Yeah, because you said that thing earlier about how like I just want to watch a movie because it's just a movie, and I was like, yeah, You Got Mail.
Okay, yeah, we could do that. We could do You Got Mail because it's a movie that's just a movie. Yeah, because like I said, I'd love to just watch a movie that doesn't have to be,
The best thing you ever seen.
One of the best things you've ever seen. So my pick is going to be a movie that people say is the best thing you've ever seen. Let's watch Forrest Gump. I've never seen Forrest Gump.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. You Got Mail and Forrest Gump. It's a Tom Hanks.
Isn't Forrest Gump 3 hours long as well?
Yeah, who cares though? I actually like Forrest Gump. I'm a fan of Forrest Gump.
Okay.
Yeah. So, not to say that I'm not a fan of Gone with the Wind or Seven Samurai. I'm just saying that like I think Forrest Gump is a 3 hours that breezes by.
Or could do Toy Story. Let's do Forrest Gump. I've seen Toy Story a million times. I think Toy Story is the first movie I ever saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Toy Story. There could be something special. We saved that for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
like you could watch that and then I'll make you watch you've seen it for sure, but the Buzz Lightyear Star Command thing.
Oh, for sure.
Because I watched that probably more than I watched Toy Story.
I watched quite a bit of it. I played
so many
the
times.
game so much.
Anyways, I think that's about that. Mattress Man.
One more time?
Is that the mattress? I'm asking. Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's okay. So that is that Mattress Man.
I am always so impressed. I mean, he gets chopped and screwed in the edit and it becomes a different time, but we always seem to run out of steam and naturally wrap things up at almost exactly an hour and a half every single time.
Huh.
We're at 1:38 right now.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah. My body knows when that Mattress Man is, just...
Yeah, like we just naturally, like, like we have... If we have a lot to say about one movie and a little bit to say about another movie, it always equals to exactly an hour and a half somehow.
Dog, I'm telling you, bro. That's that Mattress Man. If you need more soup, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or go to our website, eatingsoupalone.com. And until next time...